We're absolutely swimming in data every single second of the day. And we tend to think of it as, well, static, right? Just ones and zeros sitting on a server somewhere. But what if that's not the whole picture? What if data actually had a life, a real story, with a beginning, a middle, and an end? Today, let's pull back the curtain on the secret life of data.
Seriously, just think about that for a second. If your organization's most critical information could write its own biography, what would it say? Where was it born? Where has it traveled? Who has it interacted with along the way? For any business today, understanding this story isn't just some abstract exercise. It's absolutely essential for survival.
So, why is this story so incredibly important? Well, it's because data itself is a fundamental paradox. It's a true double-edged sword.
And this conflict is really at the heart of everything. On one hand, data is a priceless asset. I mean, it drives insights, it supports your core mission, it opens up entirely new opportunities. But, and this is a huge but, every single piece of that data is also a critical liability. It creates security risks, it comes with a whole tangle of compliance rules, and if you mishandle it, it can completely destroy your company's reputation. The whole trick is, you can't get that incredible value without managing the risk.
Okay, so to get a handle on that risk, we need to understand the full biography of our data. And we can actually map this entire story out across 6 distinct stages of its life.
This map, this framework, it has a name. It's called the information life cycle. And it's basically a model that helps us understand how data gets used at different times, and, more importantly, how the potential risk changes at every single point in its journey. This isn't just theory, okay? It's a practical guide for making smart, effective security decisions.
And here's the whole story, from start to finish. It all begins with creation. That's the birth of the data when it's made or acquired. Then it moves into processing, where it gets transformed or modified. Dissemination, that's when it gets shared with others. Use is its active working life, when it's actually doing something. Storage is when it's taking a rest. And finally, there's disposition. Think of this like it's retirement. It's either securely destroyed or maybe it's archived for the long haul. But wait, the story has another layer to it. Because throughout those 6 stages, data isn't always in the same kind of environment. At any given moment, it actually exists in one of 3 fundamental states.
So the first and probably most common state is data at rest. Just think of a file saved on your hard drive, or information just sitting there in a huge database. It's stored. It isn't actively moving anywhere, it's just resting.
Next up, we've got data in motion. And yeah, this is exactly what it sounds like. It's the state data's in when it's traveling across a network, like an email zipping from me to you, a file being uploaded to the cloud, or even just you browsing a website. It's on the move.
And the third state is data in use. Now, this is when data is at its most active. It's being crunched by an application or a user. Think about editing a spreadsheet. The numbers are being actively changed, read, and computed. And here's the thing. Data can cycle through these 3 states countless times during its life.
Okay, so we've got the life stages and we've got the 3 states of being. Why does charting this whole complicated story actually matter? Well, because if you don't control your data's narrative, believe me, it will start to control you. And that is exactly where the solution comes into play.
The solution is called Data Lifecycle Management, or DLM for short. And you can think of it as the practice of being a really good biographer and a responsible guardian for your data. It's a complete framework, a set of policies and procedures to actively and intelligently manage data through every single phase of its life, from the moment it's born to the moment it's gone.
The key phrase here is that holistic view. DLM is all about seeing the entire journey, right? That bird's-eye perspective. That's what allows you to monitor not just how data is being used, but to spot when it's being misused, and hopefully catch it before it blows up into a crisis.
And let me tell you, when you do this well, the benefits are huge. A really strong DLM strategy lets you capitalize on all that amazing value from your data while keeping the risks in check. It makes sure the right information gets to the right people at the right time. It helps you spot threats, protect your reputation, and stay on the right side of all those complex regulations. Basically, it turns that scary double-edged sword into a powerful, precise tool.
Okay, so that all sounds great in theory. But how do we do this in a practical sense? How do you actually keep track of all this data as it zips through its life? Well, one of the key methods is by giving it clear identifiers. And this is done through 2 different but related things, marking and labeling. Think of it this way. Marking is for humans. It's a human-readable signpost, like putting the words business sensitive right there in the header of a document. It tells the person looking at it, hey, handle this with care. Labeling, on the other hand, that's for the machines. It's a machine-readable ID, like a metadata tag, that helps automated systems track the data and enforce security rules all on their own. You really need both to manage data effectively.
So, as we start to wrap up this story, what's the ultimate takeaway here? What is it that determines whether your data leaves behind a legacy of incredible value or a legacy of disaster and risk?
At the end of the day, it really comes down to this. Managing the data lifecycle is not just an IT task. Not even close. Effective DLM is a strategic imperative. It requires real commitment from the very top of an organization. You need senior management to champion strong, clear policies that define exactly how information is going to be protected at every single stage of its life.
And that brings us to one final, and I think critical question for the future. We live in an age where AI is creating and processing data on a scale we could have never imagined. So how is this explosion of AI-generated information going to change the life story of data? Will the cycle get faster, more complex, more dangerous? Understanding the fundamentals we've covered today is really the only way we'll be prepared to write that next chapter.